It is still Saturday, in other words, yesterday. And I've gone through this box just in case the decal sheet or possibly the anchor chains are loose in here. And they're not. However, yesterday when we opened up this box, and when I removed this and showed it to you, I'm hoping that you can see that this box here had no lid on it. Now, were the anchor chains and decals in that box? I have no idea. It's quite possible that in the factory they never put a lid on it, and yet I'm seeing what looks like wrinkling here from trying to get a lid on. So I don't know. Yeah, I remember that distinctly. In fact, I remember being surprised. I should have commented on it, but I never thought I was going to be having a problem. But I remember thinking when I took this box here off, I remember thinking, well, how come all the other boxes had lids, but this one didn't? Anyway, it's just not here. However, I did, you remember those other two little pieces that I couldn't find in the manual? Well, I found them. I'll show you. So here's our two little pieces that we couldn't find on the diagram yesterday, which is actually today for me. But anyway, let's not confuse things here. So anyway, I did find them, and it's right here. That's it right there. And I know what happened. Okay, these two sprues here, two of J, well, I can see very clearly where they've snipped off this piece right here. And I can quite well imagine that in the factory they realized they could save a little bit of space if they snipped those off and just packaged this separately, which makes a lot of sense. So I think that's what happened, and that was done after the manual was drawn up and printed out. The only thing that could possibly happen is, let's say they did the same thing here, and I didn't come across those yet, but I think I vaguely remember seeing that. I'm not sure. However, about the decal, where was it here? Okay, there's the decal, and if I'm looking at it, what I'm seeing mostly is for the swastika. And in fact, I'm sure that all of those pieces, they look like it's, yeah, they all look to me like they're for the swastika flag, or for on the bow and on the stern of the ship where they had the big swastika. Apparently that when the ship sank it had it, but for the first part of the ship's very short life, it didn't have it. So I was not planning on using that anyway. And here's my feeling on it. I feel a little bit uncomfortable when I see that. And I can quite well imagine that there are people that feel very uncomfortable. Possibly people who lost parents or grandparents because of that. And nobody's going to care if my model doesn't have it. But there may be people who will care if it does. And I'm sort of one of those. I would just assume it didn't have it. I'm not about any one political party one way or the other. I'm more about the machine. And the machine isn't going to change with or without the swastika on it. It's still going to be the same machine. Anyway, that's my feeling on it. Yeah. Now the anchor chain. Well, I guess that's sort of a horse of a different color. I pretty well got to have the anchor chains. If I'm not mistaken, Trumpeter has a form that you can fill out, and if anything's missing in a kit, I guess the idea is that they'll send it to you. Or maybe tell you how you can get it, or maybe say if you send us $10, we'll send it to you. I don't know. Or it could be that I'm going to have to just get aftermarket anchor chain that is 200 scale. I'm sure it's out there. Anyway, gotta have the anchor chain. Now some of these pieces are so incredibly delicate and fragile. Like right there. And right here. I'm gonna have to be careful. I want to show you something else that I couldn't figure out what it was. Let's turn this around here. Okay. Now I couldn't figure out what this was. I was seeing so many of them. Then I realized that this one flips over and this little hub glues in right there. And that's probably some sort of a reel that stood on the deck that they'd wind hose up on. At least I'm assuming that's what it is. Well, there is one place that I haven't looked for the anchor chain, but I don't think it's there. And that's in this standalone kit. But we want to look in there anyway, right? Oh, speaking of having trouble getting boxes open, I guess you probably noticed in yesterday's video there was a lot of pauses and a lot of time wasted. And I guess I just didn't want to be shutting the camera off just in case I was able to use it as a reference later. Oh my goodness. What's this? Oh, for Pete's sake. I don't believe it. Oh, I don't believe it. I just feel so stupid. Okay, there's a gun barrel, but that's well, here's the decals that we're missing, and I saw the anchor chain. Where was it? There it is. There's the anchor chain. Oh, for goodness sakes. I don't believe it. I would have never thought it would have been in this standalone kit. But there it is. Well, I'm not going to be using these anyway. Well, what color is my red face? Okay. May as well take a look at this a little bit as long as we're here. You remember I was talking about the clear plastic so that you could see through it. So I guess parts of it are plastic. There's metal gun barrels instead of plastic, and parts of it are not. It looks like the decks for the various levels. I think there was 5 different levels. That thing went way down into the ship. Apparently there's I believe it's an Iowa class ship that they're decommissioning, but they're going to make a tourist attraction out of it. I can't remember which one. And you're actually going to be able to tour it, and I believe it's actually bigger than the Bismarck was. Somewhere down the States. Probably on the Atlantic coast somewhere. Anyway, I'm sure somebody's going to comment and let me know. Oh, for Pete's sake. Well, it's still Saturday. It's a nice sunny Saturday afternoon. And the plans, which come with this turret kit, I'm going to scan, and I'm going to add them to the plans that I'm going to make the little short video of. You know, somebody might be interested in seeing this. There's some pretty interesting detail in here. Yeah, I don't know how factual this is. It may not be too accurate because how would they know unless they had plans from the ship? But it's probably give you an idea. Yeah, but I think I'm going to call it a day, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'd say thanks for watching, except it's not the end of this episode. We'll just see you tomorrow. I have just spent first part of the morning going through everything again, probably the fourth time now, and I put labels in all the packages. Now some of them are kind of obvious I didn't need to do, like especially something like this. That's really obvious. And also some of the packages of sprues that had real obvious parts on it, like say the funnel. I didn't label the propellers or anything like that because that's but let's say that you take the funnel parts off of your sprue and you're left with a bunch of little parts that you don't need for a while, and then you end up with a whole bunch of sprues with the obvious parts missing, and because the label on the sprue is not all that easy to read, you can't tell what they are. Without using something like this almost. Well, especially when your eyes aren't all that good. Like, you'll notice when I'm looking at you, I can see fine right now, but if I want to read this manual, I got to put on the cheaters. Anyway, yeah. Oh, and I used to call the sprue a tree, 40, 50 years ago. And some people do still refer to it as the tree. But lately I've noticed that most people will call it a sprue. So I've just sort of adjusted so that, yeah. So everything's labeled. I think it's time to write the date on page 1 here. Well, I guess it won't be page 1. It'll actually be page 5. We'll put the date right here. Today's date. And we'll get started. I like to have a couple of little pieces, snipped off the sprue and, see if I can glue it in place. I've got some old Tester cement here. I don't know if it's any good anymore. But I also got some new Tamiya. So, I haven't opened this bottle probably for, well, here we go again. I don't know how many years. It's been a long, long time. It may have lost its potency. The idea is it's supposed to dissolve the plastic slightly so that the plastic parts actually glue together, sort of weld together. Anyway. All right. I wonder what the date is going to be when we get here to step 64, page 48. This is the very last thing they suggest you do. I guess is the aircraft. Step 65. Yeah. Well, we are looking for D5, D6, D16, and 20. Now, I've been thinking about the propellers and the rudders, and I'm just sort of thinking might be a good idea to leave this breakable stuff off for a little while. I'll get these, try and get these pieces on today. We'll just see how it goes here. After all, the hull does have to be painted, and I just don't know if I want to be painting it with the propellers on. I suppose it'd be okay to receive the primer. I'll have to think about it. Maybe some of you more experienced modelers can tell me what you did. Anyway, let's see if we can find these parts. So it's D5, 6, 16, and 20. It's all on sprue D. All right. I want to try these out. I'm just going to rough cut them. These are the pieces for the bulbous bow. And then I will use the new nippers that we bought a couple of weeks ago. So I just discovered that I'm not too good with the nippers with my left hand, so I guess I'm going to have to always be using my right. Okay, so there's D16 and 20. Now these other ones are pretty obvious. Okay, it's these pieces here. Wonder where on here does it say D6? I don't see a little tab anywhere that says, like, here I can read 21 there. Yeah. I know what I need. Maybe that's why they didn't put 5 and 6 on it, because they're just so 100% obvious. There's nothing else like it. Anyway, here we go. Just rough cut here. These side cutters that we made up a couple of weeks ago seem to be working pretty good. Okay. Now, even though I'm really anxious to be cutting off the rest of the pieces, I'm going to just leave them on the sprue and put this back in the package. I don't know how much I'm going to get done here today. Okay, now this is the first time for the nippers, so why don't I just zoom in so that you can see it too. Now I don't want to be going too close here because I can always sand that down or file it down. Oh my, I might have gone a little bit too close there. Alright, this one here, I will come back like this. Like this, what would happen if I went like that? Let's give it a try here. Yeah, that one went a little better. I feel a little bump there, so that means it's protruding, not going in. This one here, I may have gone in just a little bit too far. Maybe if I'm lucky that'll be on the inside and nobody's going to see it anyway. And we've got these little guys here. Yeah, that went okay. I'll get used to them. I want to be careful I don't cut myself because they're very, very sharp. I noticed I already cut myself on something this morning. I don't know how I did that. I did make a pizza a while ago and cut it up. I make a pizza every Sunday. And today is kind of pizza day. I think that's all right. Well, I'm going to do the other one just the same way. Now it's my plan to try and keep these videos down to 20 minutes or so. As you will remember from yesterday's video, it took a long time to upload. Now, this discoloration that you can see here, you won't be able to see that once it's painted, I'm hoping. I think I pretty well got it here. And I'm noticing that these pieces here are symmetrical. So it doesn't matter, you know, which way I put them. So which one was it now that I was worried about? It was this one here. Yeah, this one right here, you can see it. I didn't do too good there when I nipped it off. That was my very first one. Well, I'll just make sure that this side is towards the keel, and no one's going to see it anyway unless they turn the ship upside down. A little bit of rough there. Now, I was noticing with these pieces here that I'm probably going to have a bit of a problem when it comes to gluing them together. And that is because they are sort of sprung the wrong way. Oh, and you'll notice I didn't file off the nubs as well as I could have. I just sort of snipped them off. Now, okay, so my problem is this, that when I'm squeezing the bow together, now I keep calling this a bulbous bow, it's very little bulbous. It's not what you think of as a bulbous bow as they have today. It's a little bit of a, it's not sharp, but it's not really a bulbous bow, but well, it kind of is. Anyway, when I'm squeezing this part together, this end is separated. And I wouldn't say it takes a lot of pressure not to have this separate, but I can envision that if the glue isn't completely set, and possibly there isn't some sort of reinforcing down inside there, yeah, got to think about that. So I might have to do this in 2 stages. Do this first, and then, you know, squeeze it together and do the back. I'll think of something. Also, I want to make sure that when I get it glued together, that this is not going to be too close together and it's not going to match up with the rest of the ship. I should turn the hull upside down and take a look at it. But you know, I think we're probably going to be doing that tomorrow. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow in number 34, I guess. Wow, 34. Can you imagine? 33 episodes before we actually started doing anything. And actually, I still haven't glued anything on. Anyway, see you tomorrow.